He left it all on the frickin' field. There literally was nothing left. He was our friend. He was our mentor. He was our North Star. He couldn't have made that music if he didn't have that indomitable spirit.
Well, we are wrapping up the week tonight with a lot of music from Ozzy. It's been a tough few days as I've tried to find the words to process this loss, but it's been helpful to be here together with you, sharing memories, sharing grief, diving into the music. And I got to say, I can't think of a better way to help this week come to a close than with a little help from a very special guest tonight, who has been on the show in the past, who has talked to us about his love of Black Sabbath, and who was a part of Back to the Beginning just a few weeks ago. Billy Corgan, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you. It's an honor to talk about his life and legacy, and but it's still so sad. I just can't believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it, man. It's hard to find the words, I know, and so I appreciate you being here trying to find those words. Yeah, I want to start with, man, we had a conversation on this show a couple of years ago, and we ended up chatting about Sabbath. And you said they were the first band that you really personally connected with, that you loved the Beatles when you were 5 years old, but with Sabbath, it felt like for the first time, someone was making music for you. Even though you didn't really know what that meant, you could
Yeah,
feel it.
yeah.
Um, I know it's still fresh, but as you thought about Ozzy's death, as I'm sure you've listened to some Sabbath this week, do you find yourself connecting with it differently, thinking about it differently, even in just the last few moments?
No, no, because even when you were talking about them, I still think of them as my band.
Yeah,
They're my band, and I know that's not a unique feeling. I know many people feel that way. Um, no, their music, even when I watched them play the other night, and there's this timeless quality, and I think that's sort of what's so interesting is they don't date somehow. They don't, and even in listening to Sabbath, it's like I didn't feel sad like I thought it would feel. It's like even Sabbath comforts me with Ozzy dying. It's like I don't know how they do that.
yeah.
I,
Well,
I guess. Sorry, but because a lot of my, let's call it, my world, knowing I was going to do the Sabbath last show, they're not necessarily hard rock fans. So you get these discussions around a dinner table where people say like, explains why Sabbath's so important to you. And the word that I found myself using a lot leading up to the event is there's such warmth with Sabbath. There's such an embracing love or something. It's like it's so hard to define, but they're one of the only hard rock bands that has that. Somehow in the power and the majesty and all the thundering metal of the thing, it seems more inviting and more warm and more celestial somehow. It's they're almost like an inexplicable thing. And I don't think they understand it.
yeah, no,
I think they were just as surprised as anybody else that it kind of worked, and it worked naturally between them. It was even when I was there and watching them sound check and watching them play, people were like, only the four of these guys sound this way. Like we all try to imitate Sabbath in the garage and all that. When they play together, I don't know what that is.
yeah, it's you're right. It is inexplicable, and I've seen so many tributes, people sharing, that Ozzy made them feel like they could be accepted into into this world of rock and roll. That they no longer felt like an outsider, but Ozzy, Sabbath, they made them feel like they were part of something. And you're right, man. Like there is something. I don't think either of us could define it, but there's something wild about this dark, heavy, evil, looming metal that also has this warmth and love, like you said.
Yeah, and so it's such a mix of emotions because I stood there a couple weeks ago and watched them sound check, and it was just me and another alternative musician whose name I haven't shared because I want to respect the privacy. And it was just the two of us standing in an empty stadium watching Sabbath sound check for the last time. And we both started crying. We were both like, do we know what we're watching here? You understand? This is the end of our band. This is so personal. And I don't look, we all have our favorite artists, you know what I mean? But this band somehow reaches past the consciousness part of it all. It's it's like they wrote songs about smoking weed and doing cocaine. You know what I mean? It's like even they thought it was kind of weird and silly and funny. And you know, like I heard a clip, you know, somebody was playing Iron Man, and you know, it's like Ozzy with the sound effect. I am Iron. It's like, are you having a laugh? What is this?
Yeah. We've talked in the past, just about your friendship with these guys over the years and getting to work with Tony Iommi and being close to him. And you said that you've kind of moved past pinch me moments. You've been so fortunate to have so many over the years. I have to imagine though, watching that final sound check, that was kind of just a man, how did this happen?
So it's me and this other person, and we're standing there and we're, you know, crying in our gym shoes, you know, in this empty stadium. And Ozzy sang about one song or so, and then he went off, and then Sabbath just sound checked for like 45 minutes, and they played a bunch of songs that they didn't do at the gig. And we just kept looking at each other, going, "This is insane! Like, you understand?" You know, we kept going. Do we realize what we're happening? Like, we're being granted this incredible audience.
Yeah.
And the two memories I have, besides having that feeling in this empty stadium of the majesty of their music, was Ozzy saw us down there while he was out there, and he gave us the classic in the chair. He gave us the classic Ozzy peace sign from the chair, just for me and this other guy. And we gave it to him back. Okay, that's the thing I'm going to hold on to like a piece of gold for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
because I got that one. Because most of the whole event, there were so many people and so many people wanted to talk to him. I just kind of stayed away because Sharon and I had been talking for months about when they were back in LA, I was going to interview Ozzy for my podcast. So I thought I'll just talk to him when I see him. You know, he's got so many people he needs to talk to, friends, family. So when we had that little moment, it was like, okay, I at least had that one moment where it's like he saw I was there and we were doing that. Like, heck yeah, right?
Man,
And then
yeah.
and then as they were sound checking, and then Ozzy went off as they're sound checking, you know, the lights are bright and they're, you know, it's full volume. PA's jacked. I mean, it's like full concert volume. And then you see Tony kind of look forward through the lights and he kind of sees me down there and he's like, what are you doing down there? You know, he kind of has a laugh, like, and he kind of makes this face like, yeah, you know what it's like to sound check with your band, you know? You know, because he's stressed out about getting it perfect and the
Yeah.
thing, you know, he's not in performance mode, he's in stressed out band leader mode. And he
Yeah.
kind of gave me that look like, hey, you know what this is like. Okay. Those are my little moments to treasure that I'll take with me forever because I got that and they gave that to me, you know? So God bless those guys. And I think if anybody saw their statements, they're just in shock. They're in total.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody thought this was the. I mean, everybody saw it as the end of the performing career. But I mean, it put. Listen, the way Ozzy was, it wouldn't surprise me if 3 months from now he would have put out a new single with Andrew Watt or something. You know,
Right. Yeah.
he wasn't gonna roll over and say, okay, I'm supposed to go away now. So yeah, I think we're all just kind of like, this is not how the movie's supposed to end, but this is how the movie ends, at
Yeah.
least this part of it.
I was fortunate to be at Back to the Beginning. I scored a pair of tickets through one of the artist pre-sales, and even in my head, I'm like, man, I don't know if I can pull this off. And things worked out. I pulled it off, and yeah, it's just it's made the grieving part weird because that was such a beautiful day, and like
Yes.
you describing your experiences. Thank you for sharing those, man. Um, but it was just such a beautiful day. This wasn't a tribute to someone who was gone. We were celebrating Ozzy and Sabbath with Ozzy and Sabbath. It was just the feeling in that stadium was just something like I've never felt before.
I've played countless festivals and been around all the biggest artists in the world. I've never seen a single day event where everybody was on their best behavior. Over 3 days of rehearsal and the gig, I didn't see one moment of ego, no security guard pushing somebody out of the way. It was like a dream backstage. The support, people coming up and saying, "You did great." Like, um, I'd see somebody that I know, but they're busy and they're with their world, walk by me, and I think, oh, I'll try to catch up with them later. And then a minute later, I get a tap on the shoulder, and that person is circled back around because they heard I was there, and they come back to say hello. I mean, this is not normal. This was not a normal event. And a few people, because I've done a few interviews to try to kind of help people understand what we're all watching here. um, People are like, "Was he sick?" And it's like, no, you understand. This was a party. This was a total celebration, both
Yeah,
behind the curtain and out front. It was such a beautiful thing. It was perfectly imperfect. You know what I mean? It's rock and roll. It's always going to be a mess on
that's right.
some level. We're playing at thundering volumes. We're not supposed to be able to sing like that. And play at that speed and
Yeah.
all of that. So, and then, like you said, to have that so fresh in your heart, to have those feelings, and by the way, the concert is persisted on social media. Every time you turn around, there's another video, another clip, another story, another thing, another somebody, Rudy Sarzo talking about. It's like every time I
Yeah.
turn around, it's like there's more information because we're all in the afterglow of this incredible event. And just when that's kind of peaking, you're like, okay, life moves on, next chapter. Now we're at sort of like, now we're reconciling loss and legacy, and of course, our thoughts turn to the family, because
Yeah.
I don't think anybody felt like, he was anywhere near the end of his mortal life. It didn't feel like that, and you were there. It didn't have any of that.
No, not at all, man. And when he, came out for his solo set and sang, I mean, it was amazing, man. And he was just he was so excited and wanted to jump out of that chair, and was just, you could just tell, so grateful and so happy and so joyful. And one of the things that stood out to me was in between songs when he would address the crowd, 40,000 people shut up. you
Yeah.
know like you talk about no egos and all of that, like in the crowd too, man. There From my perspective and from what I've heard, there were no issues, no drunken incidents or anything like that. Everybody was there for that same reason, and when
Yeah.
Ozzy spoke, man, it was dead silent.
It's not my thanks to give, but let me say this from my own heart. Thank you to those fans that traveled from all over the world to support him and the band in that gig. It meant the world to the performers to be part of that. It was the honor of a lifetime. But to see that love given to him in that moment, I think I have such great appreciation. You know, rock fans, rock fans, heavy metal fans, they really are great fans, because
Yeah.
you would never get that in alternative world, because alternative world is very picky, and it gets into mustaches and haircuts and t-shirts and stuff like that. That's just the world that I grew up in. I have such great respect for hard rock metal fans. I'm one of them, but because their loyalty is, somebody, after the show, of course, people wanted to ask me a bunch of questions. How was the show? How'd it go? And I would say, what's so interesting is when a band would come on, like Lamb of God or Slayer, this roar would go up for the crowd. It's not the roar of like, oh my God, Slayer's here. It's like, no, it's one of us. It's like, it's our band Slayer. It's our band
Yeah.
Lamb of God. It's the roar of conquering. It's the roar of fuck yeah. This is our world, and thank God we are here to celebrate this together. So thank you to those fans, because I know where their fans came from all over the world. You saw something that was a once in a lifetimer, man. It really, I said it maybe a day or two before the event, and it got picked up by some of the media. I said, this may go down as the greatest single day in rock history. And I had to give it a qualifier, but in my heart, I was thinking, how can you top this? When you got GNR playing a 35-minute set, Metallica playing a 40-minute set, Tool playing a 20-minute set, everybody getting out of the way to make this thing work logistically, to make room for everybody to play. And the amount of enthusiasm backstage, people supporting each other, encouraging each other. It was truly incredible. And you can see from some of the footage, the wings are always full. That's almost all artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
That never happens. That never
Yeah.
happens. Everybody's going out of their way to support everybody and see, and amazing, amazing. And it's so, I don't know, tragic's not the right word. It's such a funky thing that we have to now put that within the context of loss. And obviously the loss is a far greater thing to contemplate, because now we have to think about what he gave us over 50, gosh, how many years, right?
Yeah.
50, almost 60, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's a weird feeling this week. But I keep thinking too about, your description of the backstage and the artists and the lack of ego. And when people have asked me about it, I've said the exact same thing from the fans' perspective, that watching these bands back to back to back. I mean, there was 7 minutes in between bands. It was just incredible. There was not an ounce of ego in the performances. Nobody tried to prove that they were the biggest Sabbath fan or the biggest Ozzy fan. Nothing like that. Like, just like the fans were there, the artists were there. We were all there for that one reason, and that was to honor Ozzy and to honor Sabbath. And it truly made it special, more than just a really cool show with all these bands. I mean, it was a once in a lifetime thing. And we had KK Downing on the show about a week before, and he said that he thinks this will be the most important event in the rock world. And I like that. I like that word important, because yes, it's truly, I mean, the greatest event, and the biggest, and
yeah.
all of that, but so important too, that we all came together for that.
Yeah, let me share something with you too. I said it after the event, so this is before obviously Ozzy's passing. What I'm saying is, I said to somebody, not Sharon, but somebody in Sharon's world, thinking they might even bring it up to her. You know, why can't this be an annual event in tribute to Ozzy and Sabbath? Now, with Ozzy's passing, I would say the call is even stronger. We should try to figure out a way to do this once a year. It can be in Birmingham, it can be anywhere, and use the band, the power of the band, and the legacy of the band, and the love for Ozzy to drive everyone forward. And once a year, have the best and brightest in rock come together. Every generation, and there's so many great artists. It could be a different bill every year, and keep, not Ozzy's name doesn't need to be kept alive. What I'm saying is keep the spirit alive of that event.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm saying something redundant, but it's worth illustrating once more. The greatest artists in the world, and take me out of the equation, okay? The greatest artists in the world came together to celebrate one band and one artist on their final moment, right? All for charity. Basically, everyone said, just tell us where to go and be. No one argued about their spot on the bill. No one was, it's so rare. The love for this band and this singer is so unique. Let's take that energy and drive it forward. So every year, once a year, there's this like almost like a pilgrimage,
Yeah.
where we all can get together, and if it can happen next year or 2 years from now, I'm just in the crowd enjoying the show. But the idea is to keep this thing going, because that's and I want to say something slightly different, but it's part of it. So when I did an interview last night for the BBC, or 2 nights ago, and before they had me on, they ran this like package, and it was just all of Ozzy's controversies, the biting of the bat and the fight with Sharon here and this and that. And I'm thinking, well, us fans don't care about any of this.
That's right.
We
That's right.
care about what that band gave us. And it's such a fierce, fierce feeling. So I'm publicly putting out the call. Let's try to do this once a year. Let Sharon, be the Pope on the thing, obviously. But let's do something selfless once a year for others and keep Ozzy's spirit going forward, because that's his true legacy. That's his true legacy. And I've seen it got a little pickup. When I was on BBC, the guy asked me, what's Ozzy's legacy? And I said, you need to put him in the category of Sinatra. Somebody whose voice spanned 5, 6 decades and reached people in a way that I don't even think the artist even understands.
Yeah.
It's such a standalone voice. Their life becomes part of the story that is in the voice. So when we listen to Mama, I'm Coming Home, we really feel that because we know it wasn't a perfect road for him.
Yeah.
Just imagine him soldiering on after Randy Rhoads' death. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what I'm trying to say is the best way we can honor the people that we love is to honor their spirit.
That's right.
Not just by the merch, you know what I mean? Honor their spirit. Like, why did we care so much about this band? And why do we care so much about this person's passing? Because we know the likes of them won't happen again in our lifetime. It's a one-of-a-kind thing. And the best way we can pay tribute is to figure out how to keep that energy moving forward, not let it turn into documentaries and people griping, the untold story. Nobody
Right.
gives a fuck about that because the music won. That's the triumph. Everything that he came from, those guys growing up in post World War II Britain with bomb craters everywhere. Sharon talked about it in my podcast.
Yeah.
The deprivation, the fear that they lived under, the geezer writing about the fear of nuclear holocaust and all of it. They won. They won. Their spirit was greater than the band. Their spirit was greater than the music. Their spirit was greater whether or not they could stay together or break up and have a different band and come back together. They won. It's such a rare thing.
That's right, man. And you're right, man. The music wins too. And as I've been thinking about this, it seems like Ozzy gave us that one last gift of back to the beginning, where, like, you were talking about days after, weeks after, everybody sharing still memories and reflections on that event, whether you were there or live streamed it or just have seen clips on social media. Everybody kept talking about it, and now everybody continues to talk about it and to celebrate it, and it just feels like this gift that he gave to fans, that he gave to artists who were all there in one place, at the exact same time, that we can hold on to. And it's hard to believe that we have that it's only, it's not even 3 weeks old yet.
Yeah.
But that he gave that to us.
Yeah. The final thing I would say, it's like, you know, they say in sports sometimes, like, you want to leave it all on the field, right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the gladiator thing, you go out on your shield. Okay, he
Yeah.
went out on his shield. He left it all on the field. You got his last, not his last breath, but his last public breath. You got his last, here's what I have to offer. I've walked this crazy crooked road, and here I am before you, physically diminished, not even able to stand through a 30-minute set. I'm willing to bear myself wide open. He's one of the greatest singers of all time. He knows he's not at peak uh, physical capability. You understand? The
Yeah.
willingness to lay your heart open. There's this beautiful clip that somebody shared today where it's him from years ago. I think he's talking to young Jack. And he said, at the end of the show, you stand here and you bow and you put your heart in your hand and you say, thank you very much. He left that for us. That's a kind of courage I don't think most of us understand. I couldn't do it. I don't understand it, but that's what made him him. That's why it's so emotional, I think, for us as fans. We get it. We get it. That's why it's the bat biting, and it's like, no, that's
Yeah.
not this guy's legacy. And fans should shout that stuff down. Not that it's not part of the story. It's on Wikipedia. No, you don't get it. That's not why we listened.
Right.
We didn't listen because we thought he was, Aleister Crowley reincarnated. We listened because he's one of us. He took
That's
us
right.
along for this ride. It's amazing. It's amazing. And if there's anything that we get when somebody dies, it allows us to step back and go, okay, that's there's the story, at least what we know. So, okay, was it worth it? He left it all on the frickin' field. There literally was nothing left. I personally wanted him to go be a granddad and a dad and a husband and I just saw all the kids. It's like I'm just standing there with Jack talking about his kids. I hadn't seen Amy for years. I see Kelly walking with her kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like for me, it's not just I was in that house back in the day. I know what it felt like to be around the Osbournes, like when there was no camera. That's a family business.
Yeah.
Sharon grew up in the business and she ran Ozzy's world like a family business. So when you look at the posts of the Metallicas of the world, it's not the posts of we loved him and he was great. It's like, no, he was our friend. He was our mentor. He was our North Star. They gave us our break, or you know what I mean? That's why you see that love and that focus. It's the music is the expression of the spirit, not the other way around. He couldn't have made that music if he didn't have that indomitable spirit.
That's it, man. Oh, that's it, man. Billy Corgan, thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Hey,
thank you.
Listen, we're blessed. We got the music, and and continue to give our love to Tony and Geezer and Bill.
That's right. That's right.
Because they're part of this magical journey, and Zach and Mike and Ez and so many others. I mean, we owe them a debt, and sometimes we don't. In rock world, we don't always take a moment to stop and really like enjoy it. That was what's so beautiful that we were at that show together. It was a rare moment where we were like, wow, this isn't awesome. We're enjoying. Now we're not just here to like, what's the set list tonight? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So take this moment to listen, to celebrate, find the deep cut that go listen to the album that you didn't listen to because you didn't think you liked what he was doing that year. Support the family, do all the stuff that he would want you to do. He was a family man through and through. He loved his family. So make sure you're there for them too. They're gonna need it.
Billy Corgan, thank you so much, man. I know it's been a tough week, man, and I just really appreciate the memories you've shared, just everything you've talked about, and I always love. It's always such a privilege to have you on the show. Hopefully next time it's on happier circumstances, but honestly,
Absolutely.
Talking about Sabbath, celebrating Ozzy, there's a lot of joy in there too. So thank you so much, man.
Okay, God bless.